Sorry, didn't turn the microphone on. Welcome to the Regan household. Welcome to our third in our series of Easter activities. Welcome to Good Friday, as we look at what it means for Friday to be good. Why is Jesus' death good for us? What does that all mean? And I promised you during the week that we would do some crafts, and so today there will indeed be some craft. So just as a way of showing you that I'm not lying about that, if you just look down there, there is a ton of stuff out and ready. I don't expect you to follow along necessarily with this. However, if you do have some yogurt pots or something handy and things like that, at least have a think about things you might want to use. But the first thing we're going to do is read the story of Good Friday and to think about that and to maybe ask some questions before we crack on with our craft. So let's have a look at the story of Good Friday. Just going to get the camera in a little bit closer there for you. That way hopefully everybody gets to see the pictures. Jesus is arrested and crucified. Judas went to the leaders. He asked, "How much will you pay me if I help you capture Jesus?" They said, 30 pieces of silver. So Judas took the money and made a plan. Jesus had gone to his favourite garden to pray. The disciples went along. Jesus prayed, "Father, if it is your will, I am ready to give up my life, so that all the people who trust in me will be saved from their sins." Soon Judas arrived with some soldiers. Peter wanted to protect Jesus, but Jesus said, "No, I must allow this to happen." All the disciples ran away, and the soldiers arrested Jesus. They took Jesus to the leaders. The leaders said, "You say that you are the Son of God. We do not believe you." The soldiers took charge of Jesus. They made him carry a big wooden cross. They took him to a place called the Skull, Golgotha. There they nailed Jesus to the cross. Jesus died on the cross. Everyone who loved Jesus was very sad, but they had forgotten something important. Jesus said he would see them again soon. So that's the story of Good Friday, and we're going to think a bit about what does it mean and what happened and things like that. But we're going to do that by asking a couple of questions of my well-primed family. So let's welcome them into the screen. Why did Jesus have to die? To take away our sins. So those things that we've done bad, by Jesus' death, it means we can be, what's the word we use? Beginning with F? Forgiven. So we can be forgiven. Any other thoughts about why Jesus had to die? So Jesus died to show how much he loved us. Jesus did a load of talking about love in his through the 3 years of his ministry. Basically, we read about him talking about loving each other, about how he loves us, about how God the Father loves us, and this in many ways is the final act of love, that Jesus goes to die so that we can say to God, "God, I'm sorry that I did something wrong," and God says, "It's okay, I forgive you." And so It seems strange that we call the day when we remember Jesus dying Good Friday, but for God's amazing good news plan to happen, Jesus had to die first. When Jesus died, he had never done anything wrong, but he took the punishment that should have been ours, the punishment for all our mistakes. Questions for your adults out there. What is the messiest you've ever been? Can you think about a time when you have got the absolute messiest? When was it? What did it look like? My immediate thoughts go to maybe times when I was out doing quad biking. That got quite messy. Maybe times out walking on the moors when I end up with quite messy boots and legs and things like that. Maybe just as simple as working out in the garden. I'm forever getting dirty hands and then wiping them on my face and ending up with a dirty face. How did you get cleaned up? Well, for us it's quite simple. You just go home, you have a shower, job's done. But when you get in a mess that's to do with sin and things, there's a different way of getting cleaned up. When we've made mistakes and messed up, and all our messy sins stop us from coming close to God, who is perfect and pure, when Jesus died on the cross, he made a way for all of our mistakes to be forgiven, so that we can come close to God. And so that's what we think about today. We think about being able to come close to God because Jesus died. Now, I promised you craft. Let me just change the angle of this camera so you can get a better view as we do some crafting. There we go. So we are going to make today an Easter garden. Now, the way we're going to make our Easter garden is we're going to use some corner yogurts. These are by a well-known brand. However, you don't need to use a well-known brand. You can use any corner yogurt. That's fully possible. If you don't have a corner yogurt, there are other ways you can do it. This is one we've made in a tray with an egg cup for the cave, and just chuck some soil in there. So that's how you do it. But we quite like the Easter garden made in a yogurt pot. So the first thing you need to do is to get some soil into your yogurt pot. We've just in that large, so that's going to go in your large section. That's going to be your garden part. So we chuck some in there. Rest of the family have some soil. Stick your soil in. Try not to be like me and make too much of a mess. There we go. Bit of tidying up done. Excellent. So the Easter garden represents a couple of different things. It can represent to you the garden where Jesus said his prayers we've read about. It can represent to you the garden that we'll read about on Easter Sunday, that Mary came and saw Jesus on that first time. It talks about him being in a garden and how there were people guarding it. And so it can be all of those things. You can think about it as being those kind of garden things. So that bit made. The next thing you can do is, obviously, a garden isn't really a garden if it's got just soil in it. That's just mud. So there's a couple of options you've got. Option one, if you have some cress seeds lying around, you can make an actual garden. So you can take a couple of cress seeds, you can sprinkle them into your garden, and then you can water the garden, and gradually your garden will grow. So grab some seeds, stick some seeds into your garden. The other choice you have, if you can't wait for your cress seeds to grow, is you can take some flowers and you can go out in your garden, or maybe on the grass in front of your house. If you've got some grass, and just grab some daisies and things like that, and you can make your little garden like that to make it all nice and pretty. You can completely cover it in flowers. You can do whatever you like, but that makes quite a nice garden. So carry on and do that. Of course, do feel free to, when we finish this live stream, to go back, rewind it, go out and get all this stuff, and then do it along with us again for a second time. This time when you've got all the bits and bobs, we're going to show you everything you need. So, the other thing we need is a cross. Now, the way you're going to make your cross, you can go out into your garden, get 2 sticks, you can put them over in a cross like that, get some string or some wool and wrap it round, going in diagonals across your piece of stick. Leave a little bit one end for tying on, and then just keep going. Couple ways one diagonal, couple ways the other diagonal. Keep going until you've used up all of your wool, and keep going in diagonals because that will help it stay on quite nicely. And then when you're done, just tie it off at the back. Tie it off at the back, there you go. And then you can put that in your garden. So there we are. If I had more time, I would put more flowers in, but then you've got your cross to represent the cross that we just read about with Jesus who died for us on the cross. So then we've got our garden pretty much made. Now you might be wondering, but Gareth, what goes in the other section? Now here's the clever bit. The clever bit is you can flip your section up and you can create your own tomb. So you can take a piece of cloth. Please, 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 children, don't just go and cut up any piece of cloth you find. Do ask mum or dad or granny or granddad or whoever's looking after you at the moment for a piece of scrap cloth that they don't mind you having. And you can fold that up and that becomes like Jesus's robes and clothes that are found wrapped neatly once he has come back to life. So you can pop that in your tomb. Then you can take a rock. Take your last piece of rock, go out in your garden or out on somewhere outside, find yourself a big piece of stone, and then you can pop that in front of your tomb. Sorry, I'm being a little bit cack-handed here. The front bit of your tomb, and there you have one Easter garden. My back bit's going to need some propping up because it's been a little bit too well handled. And then you can prop that up somewhere, and you've got an Easter garden. So the family are going to carry on doing Easter garden making. Let's have a look at Samantha's non-yoga pot Easter garden. So you can see that there. So you don't need a yoga pot. And you can just generally have fun with it. If you've made some nice Easter gardens and you quite like them, we are taking submissions to our Facebook site to have a look at them. So if you fancy it, do take a picture of them and post them. Either send us a message with them attached to Newton Abbot Benefice Facebook site, or just attach them as a post and link us in it. We'd love to see your Easter gardens that you make over the next day or so, ready for Easter Sunday. So let's come back. As we finish this time together, I promised you only a 10 or 20 minutes make, so that's a really nice and quick and simple make for us to do. We're now going to finish by praying together. Let us pray. Dear God, I'm sorry for the mistakes I have made. for the times when I have made bad choices or been disobedient. Thank you that you sent your Son Jesus to die on the cross for us. Thank you that when Jesus died on the cross, he took the punishment for all my mistakes and all the mistakes of the world. Amen. Thank you for joining us. If you are looking for something to do on Easter Sunday morning, do come and tune back in to either our Facebook site or to our YouTube site, where we will be live streaming Easter Sunday worship from 11 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock Easter Sunday, for our Sunday service. Thank you, take care, and I will see you